Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today I'm going to be talking about what was LCA and now is GNOG. This is going to be a quick update on the technical analysis because we don't have a lot of technical analysis to cover, but mainly the due diligence part and what to expect and a little bit of history about golden nuggets, etc. Let's jump right into it. So make sure to drop a like to this video to help the channel grow, subscribe, notifications on, and golden nugget here. So this is their website, nj-casino.goldennuggetcasino.com, and here are some of the more popular games from the top rated on the bottom here, and right here, and then we can just give it a quick try. Now, I've never tried this game before, but I do imagine to be straightforward. And it looks like that, alright, probably going to be a good video then. Moving on forward, what we have here is a bit more SEC filings to dive into it. Some of the risk factors I'm going to go through, and then a little bit into their balance sheets and etc. So some of the risk factors that they've highlighted in their own 14A filing not long time ago is GNOG's a bit risks. So it starts with the competition within the gaming industry is intense and existing with potential users. Many may be attracted to GNOG's competitor offerings as well as competing forms of entertainment such as TV, movies, sports, etc. COVID-19 pandemic could adversely impact GNOG's business, resulting in operational financial condition. Economic downturns and adverse political market conditions beyond GNOG's control could affect it, so that is normal. Now, the success including win or hold rate of existing future iGaming sports betting products depends on a variety of factors not entirely in GNOG's control. GNOG relies on information technology from other systems and platforms, so we already know any failures, etc. Moving on as well, the GNOG relies on third-party providers to validate identity and location, so they don't use their own platforms. It's not vertically integrated, it's outsourced. That's fine. GNOG's platform contains third-party open source software components, and failure to comply within these terms underlying open source software licenses could restrict them. I don't think that's any problem. Now, the main thing that I found here is their growth, and that is something depending on us, right? That's something we're interested in. So GNOG relies on strategic relationships with casinos and other gaming operations. So we might hear a bit more PR about their other partnerships and strategic casino partnerships and agreements. GNOG relies on license to use intellectual property rights to third parties which are incorporated into GNOG's product. GNOG's growth will depend in part on the success of GNOG's strategic relationship with third party. Over-reliance on a certain third parties on GNOG's inability to extend existing relations or agree to new relationships may cause an unanticipated cost and impact GNOG's future performance. Their growth really depends on retaining and attracting new customers. Now, they also are subject to US laws, and the GNOG's growth prospect and market potential will depend on GNOG's ability to obtain license and operation in a number of restrictions. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying these are just risks. These are potential PRs that are coming down the line. So that is something to consider. The rest is pretty normal, pretty standard. Now, GNOG's historical cash and cash equivalent holdings is around 3.6 million. Now, the company's historical is around 897, but the current historical for GNOG is 3.6 million. Now, your total assets sitting around somewhere around 62 million, while their long-term debt is around 282 million. So that is quite a lot. Their total liabilities is around 371 million. Total assets 63, total liability 371. Now, that is as of September 30th, 2020. Now, the next things we're looking at is revenues. So revenues here, we get to see it's actually 68 where we're sitting right now. And that is somewhat substantial from what we see in terms of the pro forma, etc. 68.0 million, that is 9 months ending. It's not quarter ending. Now, in terms of total expenses, this is why I'm saying it's significant, is because we're hitting actually net income, which you don't see a lot. So your net income is around 2.5. Now, that is still on a margin, a small margin, but we'll accept it as positive. So if we were to look into their 2019, you get to see there's been a really nice jump to 68 million from 55. Now, previously, in terms of net income, they did have a better net income than this year, but we're going to give it a little bit benefit of the doubt with expenses relating to, for instance, COVID-19 and also the IPO or reverse merger. Now, the next thing we're moving on as well is the comparison of the revenues between 2019 and 2018. That is for the year ended, and we get to see the total revenues are in fact increasing year on year, which is a good thing for 3 years in a row. Net income here has been increasing generally, except for 2020 where it did dip a little, and that will give that, as I said, benefit of the doubt for reverse merger and as well for their COVID-19 response. Now, they're going to have around $300 million in cash as a net proceed. The golden nugget valuation is around $745 million. Now, what does that mean? It means that they are able to pay a good amount of their debt using that $300 million cash. Now, if you recall, that $300 million in cash would basically pay off, oh, that's 2019. If we go to the total debt that we have is around $371 million. So it gets close to there. Now, I'm pretty sure they're not able to use it all to pay off debt, but it's good to know that their assets value would increase, at least in the market cap itself. I did go previously into this massive presentation and compared a lot of different things in here, but just quickly in terms of investment highlights, we'll move forward from here. For folks that have been watching this series for a while, please make sure to subscribe as well, as it really helps my channel. So they're number 1 gaming focused US casino brand in New Jersey, on track to deliver $95 million off GGR and $24 million off ADJ EBITDA in 2020, well positioned to capture 10% share of projected $22 billion US market. So 10% of that is around $2.2 billion, and that does increase their market cap. If you remember, they mentioned their market or their valuation is around $745 million. So that does multiply it a few times over. Now, the next thing here is we see COVID-19 as accelerating that push towards online gaming, at least in gambling part, and the first in the US to launch in-house live dealer studio, first to launch branded slots, golden nugget video slot, and successful bet on new game categories such as steppers and megaways. So let's move on forward. I did cover a lot of this, so you'd have to watch it in my previous video. Some votes here and there, that is pretty normal in that scenario. And then the next thing here is golden nugget will have its own ticker, and in terms of institutional buyers, we get to see in general it looks positive, but one thing that I want to really cover in terms of that sense is what happens now after we get to see this kind of push, right? So the big question here is, will it substantially be able to hold that kind of jump? Now, a lot of the times, especially after the merger tickers, it changes, it starts to dropping a little bit down. And that we actually might be seeing in GOG. I don't have a lot of technical analysis, barely. I only have 1 day or so. But we can expect that it probably will drop a little before it starts to accumulate down. Now, the next thing that I want to look at here is just their 15 minutes. So their 15 minutes here, we get to see here that the 30 EMA is actually above the 10 SMA. ADX shows in that this is a strong negative trend, but it's not going to last there for long, and MACD might be curving just a little bit up and stabilizing. Now, it is a little bit hard to determine exactly what points they are with the other graph with LCA not showing up here or in trading view, but we can see that the resistance currently sitting at 23.51. followed by $24 and then $25 and then jumping up to $25.60. Now it looks like it found a support at $22.54, but usually these things find their supports, especially after reverse merger, somewhere around closer to $15 or so. Now, do I think Golden Nugget has a chance in the future? Absolutely, I think it's a good investment, but in terms of trading, it might actually receive a little bit of a pullback because things aren't clear yet for investors, and that happens quite often with these reverse mergers. They tend to question what kind of catalyst coming up right in the near future, and usually after the ticker changes, people want to sell out and fear starts mongering and it starts dropping. So in a very short term, I would sell, but in a longer term, I would definitely buy after it starts accumulating and stabilizes. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. You have a wonderful day.